Hey everyone, how goes it? Like every video, I want to make sure that my hair, don't look at my hair. I want to make sure that you understand that I am not a professional. I am not a counselor. I am not a therapist. I am not a doctor. I cannot diagnose nor can I prescribe medication. Above all, I am not perfect. I am a child of God and I am like you. I do counseling every week, well, almost every week when she's not on vacation or when I don't reschedule. But for the most part, once a week, I see a counselor because I need it for here and here. That's why I say I'm not perfect. I'm like you. I do a lot of self care myself, and sometimes that's not enough. I want you to know that you are not alone. You see, I am an abuse survivor. I have been physically abused, mentally, verbally, emotionally, sexually, financially, even spiritually, in one way, shape, form, or another. And I am here to tell you that I have lived through my worst days, so I'm going to make better days. The abuse does not define who I am. Neither does the mental anguish that I go through. I've been diagnosed with CPTSD, anxiety, depression, more. And it's not who I am. My name is Llewellyn Bissell, and I am here to tell you that you are not alone and that God loves you. Now, my youngest daughter and I were talking yesterday, and I was like, wow, that's another way to describe it. So, what I want to do is I want to tell you that my current husband has never been abused. He does not know the first signs to look for, he doesn't know anything about that. He doesn't understand how someone can be depressed. He doesn't understand about CPTSD, much less someone as an abuse survivor having PTSD. He thought that my anxiety was just in my head. I don't mean me personally, well, me personally, but in the beginning it was, he didn't believe that stuff. Since being married to me, he's seen it firsthand and he's a believer now. And I'd like to explain it to you the way my daughter has explained it to others. And I thought it was a good way. And I'd like to also explain it my way too. So, my way that explaining I'm going to use depression is like you're driving on a road and all of a sudden a fog comes in and it's so deep that you really can't see in front of you. You put your hand out there and sometimes you can't even see your hand because the fog is so thick, right? But you know you have to keep driving because you know you have to keep going through. Well, that's what depression is. We know we have to keep going. We know there's light at the end of the tunnel because we know that fog has got to lift, right? But sometimes when we're in that fog, we just want to stop, turn the car off, get out and go, I can't see. But if we do that, we could get hit by oncoming cars or cars behind us. So we stay in the vehicle and we keep going. That's what you need to do with depression. So when depression hits, it comes through our head and all of a sudden it covers our eyes where, you can't see so far ahead of you. Then it comes down to your nose and your mouth and your ears. And all you can hear is, rah, 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 right? And you can't hear words. When you see people, you really can't see clearly. And you don't want to bring people in that fog with you because it's scary. It's lonely. And we don't want to bother other people. So we don't bring them in. That's depression. And sometimes that fog, it lifts for a day and we're like, yes, we're back to our normal selves again. And then it comes even faster and quicker on us a day or two later. And people are like, well, you were just good the other day. What happened? That's depression. That's a lot of things for a lot of people. Anxiety. People are sitting there and they're twisting their hands and they cry at a drop of a pin. Look at them funny and they start bawling because their anxiety is so high. My daughter explained it in a way that I thought was, oh my stars, I absolutely loved it. We're farmers. We have lots of chickens and ducks and turkeys, and so we collect a lot of eggs. And sometimes we drop those eggs. Now, if we were to drop an egg and it cracked and all the yellow, the egg part of it came out, if we were to put that egg back in and we would tape it and we would put it back in the fridge, is it fixed? No. But that tape that's around us, it's fragile. When you've been abused, you're fragile. And we have to explain this to people that are in our lives and say, hey, look, this is what I need. And I know it's difficult. I know it's difficult to explain what we need. Trust me, I still have a hard time. After 21 years of marriage, my husband and I, he's still finding things out that what I need, what triggers me, what hurts me, what freaks me out. Which brings me to today. Today, I want to talk to you about centering yourself. When we find those triggers, when we find those things that bother us the most, maybe it's a memory and our brain is like, oh my stars, I don't want to remember that. The beatings you got, or the name calling you got, or whatever the case is. I want to talk to you about centering yourself, which is in my book, The Tiny Steps to Success, The Right Step. This is about journaling. And I can't stress enough how important journaling is. It is very, very important. It will help your eyes actually see what's on the paper, and you can determine by looking at that, by having you write that out, by looking at that and going, that's not true. Or is that how I really feel? Why do I feel that way? And then you can come to terms with it easier. Not always, but hopefully easier. And then once you date that and you write that, and let's say a year later you go back to it going, wow, I was in a really bad spot back then, but I'm great now. Look how far I've come from then. At least I hope that is what the outcome is, right? So chapter 5 is about centering yourself. What does centering yourself mean? Well, it means you need to balance yourself. You have to make sure that everything is in balance. So let me read what I wrote in my book. And it says, centering oneself is a way to balance yourself. You set boundaries, you set a new way of thinking, you work on a new behavior, and you don't have to always be agreeable. It's okay to say no. In fact, I implore you to say no, especially when you think that you really truly can't do it. Do not give your word on something and then fall back on it, because that's like the worst thing you could possibly do. But go ahead and say no if you feel that you just can't do it. I apologize, but it's hot in here. All right, moving along. So what does center yourself feel like? Well, it's not a location, as there is no physical region it lives in. It's more of a dynamic point of inner balance. When you are in the feeling or moment of center, there is no resistance and everything just is. You are alive, alert, and active. You feel an inner calm. How often do you feel an inner calm? How often? Once a day, all day long, every day, once a month, once every 6 months, once a year? You just don't know? Those are all answers that those are all questions that we need to answer, right? So you feel inner calm. You are neither positive nor negative in the center. You are neutral. Now let us start with how you know you are off center. So throughout the day, you, one, take on too many tasks. You often multitask. Sometimes you make mistakes and you have to go back because you missed that step here because you thought you're over here, right? Don't take on too many tasks that you just can't do. It's okay to say no. 2, you are reactive. You're checking your phone compulsively, right? You keep checking that phone going, whatever the case is. 3, you fail to differentiate what is urgent from what is important. What's important? What is urgent? How do you know the difference? These are questions you need. And of course, the last one I think is 4. It says, feel fatigued early in the day. I always feel fatigued, so I don't know what's going on with me, so I need to see my doctor. Now, in your mental and emotional state, you, 1, are consumed by negative self-talk. Do you do that to yourself? Do you say negative things about yourself? Maybe how, yeah, nobody wants to hear this. That's mine on here is nobody really wants to watch these. They don't listen to this. No one comments. So what's the point of doing this? What is the point of me doing this if nobody watches? Well, for me, I do this because I'm hoping it can help one person. And it may not be now. Heck, it may be after I'm dead. But you know what? Maybe they can learn something from it. Maybe, I don't know, 50 years down the road, when I'm probably dead because I ain't living to be 105, they go on Amazon and they find this book, right? And they get it and they go, wow. Or maybe it's this last current book that I wrote called Not Alone, Not Forgotten. And they're like, wow, she understands, right? I don't get a lot of views on here. I don't get many comments, but that's okay. Because somewhere along the way, someone will find it and it will be what they need to hear at that point in time. Okay, so your mental emotional state, you are easily distracted and unable to focus. Now that could also be ADHD, whatever, or ADD, or whatever the case is too. So don't always just think it's this. You ruminate about the part or hold anxiety about the future. Ruminate about the PAT. What's PAT? I don't know. Don't think about the future. And I know it's hard to say that, but you really need to be in the here and now and let tomorrow take care of itself. And if not, you'll take care of it when it comes. You will cross that bridge when it gets here. Stay on this side of the bridge until you wake up and you're in the next side, right? So stay in the moment. And the next one is you get stuck or overwhelmed. I'm in overwhelmed mode right now. Very overwhelmed. But you guys don't want to hear that. That's okay. So maybe in the evening you end your workday exhausted. Maybe you struggle with impulse control with sugar, social media, alcohol, snacks, TV, whatever. I'm guilty of that. I love sugar. Love my Pepsi. Love my sugar. Love my TV shows. My social media used to consume me so much that I got off it for many reasons, but we don't need to go into that. Maybe you can't remember what you did yesterday or even today. Sometimes it's hard to remember because you're in that fog. You need to be in the moment. You need to center yourself. So Joseph Campbell said, there's a center of quietness within which has to be known and held. If you lose that center, you are in tension and begin to fall apart. Yeah, I can see that. Can you see that? Now, how can you tell you are out of center? How you can tell you're out of center is when you are in search of happiness. You're feeling overwhelmed, lazy, and especially when we self-criticize ourselves, right? The negative self-talk. The ants are back. You know what ants are, right? They're back in our previous video if you don't. So I read online how essential oils and mudras, hand positions, are a great way to find harmony. Now, people usually use these hand, I can't even think now, positions when they do things like meditation, and they sit there and they have their hands out and they're, whatever they do. That could be a good possibility, right? Now, they're also a great way to find harmony. It said aromatherapy. So aromatherapy has a profound influence on the mind, affecting your behavior and actions. So what I've started doing actually is I started making candles. And the candles I make have things like, what is it? Lavender. I think it's rosemary, but I'll get to that here in a minute because it's also in my book too. All right. So it's said that essential oils have the ability to change your outlook on life, and it also balances the mind, which is why I started making candles. And I am not a candle person, but I love making them and having people buy them and purchase them for their balance, right? So it balances the mind. It lifts your emotions. It clarifies your thoughts. Now, lifting your emotions, just making it for me, just making it, knowing that someone bought this and me pouring a whole bunch of love into this candle for them, for their peace of mind, that to me just lifts my emotions because I am helping someone, right? It clarifies your thoughts. It can reduce anxiety and reduce stress. So I use the essential oils in these candles to help people do that. Amazing, right? Just amazing. All right. So I read where you have to close your eyes, right? So you close your eyes, you slow your breathing down as you inhale the essential oils, right? Just breathe. Almost like you're trying to go into a deep sleep. Now, some of the essential oils are like soothing citrus, woodsy scent, floral, bergamot, sandalwood, rose, um, lavender, rosemary. Actually, it's said that when combined with mudras, it can send messenger molecules through energy pathways from your fingertips throughout your body, triggering activity in the emotional part of the brain and relieving emotional balances. I can't even read my own handwriting here. So I know you're asking how this coincides with writing in your journal, right? Well, I'm going to tell you. It will help you find your peace, your meaning, your life after abuse or any trauma that you've had or any mental challenges that you face. So when you are relaxed, you feed your positive self. And that is what I'd like to see in you. Positiveness, happiness, being centered. All right? We need that centeredness because we didn't have it before when we were going through the mental challenges or the abuse or the trauma, right? So now we have to feed ourselves the positive. All right. So moving on. So mantras can be combined with meditating, changing negative thoughts or emotions into positive ones. That's because the 5 fingers of the hands are believed to be connected to the 5 vital elements in the body. What are the 5 elements of the body? Anyone know? I'll give you a few seconds to think about that while I get me a drink of water again because it is hot in my room. So the 5 vital elements of the body are fire, air, space, earth, and water. But like anything, I have to tell you, do your own research of what works for you. Just because it works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you and vice versa. I'm just here to help you get started by helping yourself. All right. So finding your center takes 2 ingredients. So we're back on topic again, right? So the 2 ingredients are awareness, which is the ability to detect when you're out of center in the moment, and method, an effective practice for centering yourself. Those are the 2 main ingredients that you need to find for yourself. I can give you ideas, I can give you suggestions, but I can't tell you what your 2 major ingredients are going to be and how to do them. That will have to be on you. So it's easy to center yourself. However, if you think it will be difficult, then it will. So remember what you tell your brain will follow. So tell your brain how easy it is, and it will be. If you say it out loud, I believe, then it will be easy. I believe. I believe. I believe that I'll get people looking at these, reacting to these videos, commenting on these videos, because I believe in you. So there are 4 centers, not just a single center. There are 4 centers. The 4 primary centers in any of these centers is a gateway to bring you back to the present. Um, each center provides vital information about ourselves and our world. So the first one is a physical center. It's located just below your belly button. That's the first one. That's the physical center just below your belly button, right? The second one is your emotional center. That's the heart region. The third one is your mental center. That's right, your brain. That's your third. And then, of course, the fourth one is the spiritual center, your higher power belief. Mine is God, but you can have your own, whatever higher power you believe in. So when you feel out of center, you can breathe like it matters. When your mind is racing and your breath is coarse, become aware of your breathing and just breathe as normally as possible. So you stand still like a pole, feet apart, about shoulder width apart, and your spine straight. Mindfully, you have to focus, mindfully release the tension in your body. Continue to breathe slowly and deeply while scanning your body for feelings of tension. Start with your toes, wiggle them. While scanning your body for feelings of tension, work your way up your body, calves, knees, thighs, upper legs, right? Pay attention to each group of muscles as you go. So you have to mindfully focus on each aspect of your body as you're going from your toes, your feet, your ankles, calves, knees, thighs, right? You want to relax any muscles that feel tense by clenching them really tight and then releasing them. And above all, do not forget to journal the right step. So take the time to relax, to regain your center, but remember to write it down too. What worked? What didn't work? How you felt? If you felt anything at all, write it. Because maybe it helped and maybe it didn't. But you're never going to know until you try and put it down. Write it down. So let's do a recap. We have essential oils. And this is where I can tell you to email me at llewellynbissell at gmail.com if you're interested in one of my candles to help ease and calm you. Then you have the 4 centers. I'm going to go back. And the 4 centers, right, are the physical. Where's the physical? That's right. You're not just below your navel. Your emotional. That's right. Your heart. Your mental. Yes, the brain. And of course, the last one is your spiritual center, right? Then you have your 5 mantras. What are they? That's right. They are fire, air, space, earth, and water. Very good. And make sure you keep writing in your journal. And the more that you write in the journal, the more change you can see in yourself. And of course, like any other time in my book, I tell you to make sure that you celebrate your tiny step success because you are important. Now, normally I would go on to chapter 6, but I think it's important that we stop here. I think it's important that you focus on centering yourself before moving on to life areas, which is chapter 6. But before I go, I have a PDF called 4 Steps to Emotional Healing. If you would like that, I want you to do one of my challenges. Last week's challenge, I asked that you, I think it was do the laughing one. You have to laugh 10 times. No, yawning. You have to yawn 10 times without really truly yawning and to video it and send it to me at my email address. Tonight's challenge, for this week's challenge, I want you to do the centering yourself, just like we talked. I want you to video it. I want you to journal it. And I want you to tell me how it felt. And then all you got to do is email me what you have done, and I will email you the PDF of the 4 steps to emotional healing. I hope that it's helped. I hope to see you do the challenges so that way you too can receive the 4 emotional steps or 4 steps to emotional healing PDF that I have. And I hope I see you next week. So that's all that I have. Again, I want to remind you that I am not a professional anyway. I am definitely not perfect. I'm a child of God. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. I'm definitely not a doctor. I'm a person like you. I'm just someone that comes on here so that way you do not feel alone. Because there are so many people that go through similar things that I have gone through, that others have gone through, and they just say no one else could understand. Yeah, we can. And this is the only way that I feel that I can help you, is by talking about the stuff that I have done, that others have done. Now, the newest book that I have of Not Alone, Not Forgotten, I actually have other people in this book, not just me. And they tell what keeps them going. Will you tell me what keeps you going? I would like to know. So on that note, I want to say thank you very much for being here. I hope that you've learned something about centering yourself, and I hope that you do take the challenge of taking a video of how you centered yourself. Really be into it in that moment. Don't even think about the recording that you'll be doing. Just take it in, do the breathing, follow the steps. If you need to, go buy the book. I think it's like $10. I try to put it down for $5, but Amazon keeps changing it, but that's on them. Get that. And remember that you are worthy. Now, God loves you, and so do I, and I hope to see you here next week. Thank you for watching.